Hi everyone, this is your midterm review for obviously your midterm that will occur next week. You have four questions, each word 25 points and 2 hours to take it in. This is going to be very quick. I'm just going to go over some very important or key points that are going to be useful in terms of your preparation. And I'm kind of going to use the same format that you see from your textbook that we have online. So let's begin because, as I said, I'm trying to make it as quick as possible so you can get as much information in as short a time as possible. Let's go on to chapter 1. And chapter 1 is our introduction to strategy. And the first question I guess we all have or we ask is what a strategy is. It's a plan of activity to help an organization realize present and future accomplishment of objectives. That's important because within that definition we have the idea of strategy, the concept of strategy being a plan, something that we're actually purposeful in terms of creating. But also in that definition we have the time element, that the firm is not only concerned with its survival and its success today, but the firm also wants to ensure sustainability of success, or what we have termed competitive advantage in the future. And it is that time element that again separates strategy from other types of planning activity, if you will. The other thing obviously that strategy, and there are many elements that are involved in a strategy that are not involved in a tactical and operational plan, but it's the holistic or the holism of strategizing. There is the total resource of organization coming together to make one uniform plan that is for the organization, not just subsets of the organization, but the entire organization. So that's what a strategy is. Why do we strategize? Well, as I alluded to previously, we do it to guide the entire organization, because if we do not strategize, we would tend to be doing things haphazardly. We would not seem to have any kind of uniform direction, and we won't really be able to achieve what our purpose or mission is. We also strategize in order to reward. We want to ensure that we are motivating, that we are allowing ourselves the ability to reward activity that as the organization we want to see performed, and strategizing allows us to do that, to reward the organization and its members because of accomplishments based upon following the plan that we have identified. And also we strategize to survive. Just in order to stay afloat, we need to have some kind of plan to combat and to react and proactively interact with the environment that we find ourselves in. Okay, so we know what the what is and what the why is. Who should strategize is very important. Again, I normally teach business strategy that is geared towards for-profit entities. Obviously now we're thinking about healthcare. There are a lot of entities within the healthcare dynamic, within the healthcare network or system, that are not for-profit entities, or that are governmental entities, and they seem to not have to deal with the level of competition and the level sometimes of I shouldn't say that, the level of competition that for-profit enterprises have to deal with on a daily basis. However, if you are an organization, any organization, and you exist in a dynamic environment, meaning one that is changing. It doesn't have to change every day, it doesn't have to change every year, but there is some element of change within your organization, within your external environment, I should say, then you require, or you would be best suited to have a strategy. So it's not about just being involved in competition. If you're in a dynamic environment, you require strategy. Why? Because strategy is all about aligning the firm's abilities with its external environment. So if either one of those ingredients change, either your abilities happen to change or be altered, or your environment happens to change, you're going to require a strategy or re-strategizing. And so all entities that happen to exist in environments that change need strategies, and so that pretty much covers the length and breadth of all organizations that we can think about. How do we actually go about creating and implementing a strategy? Well, we first start with some mission, what we actually want to achieve, why are we here, and also within that mission we can normally consider a vision, because as I said, the first element, what, we're not only concerned about today's survival, we're also concerned about our future sustainability. So we want to start off with some mission, some overlying goal, some intent, some raison d'etre for being here, what we want to accomplish. Once we have that established, we want to go into an environmental assessment again, or what is going on in our external environment. What do we face in terms of our organization, whether that be general forces, the political, the legal, the social forces in our nation, in our region, in our international landscape even, but also the micro forces, those competitive and consumer forces that actually have a huge influence on what we can do, who do we actually have to serve, and how should we compete to be the most successful organization that we can be. And so recognizing the environment where we happen to be is very, very crucial, because again, it's the environment that grants us these opportunities, these areas in which to create value, and also the areas in which to increase our success. And success, for many entities in non-profit, in the healthcare industry, is not necessarily measured by profit, but it can be measured in terms of societal value, in terms of return for contributors, in terms of board of directors directives and goals. Have we accomplished that? So whatever your definition, whatever your concept of success is, you want to recognize opportunities to increase that, and that's in your external environment. And then you look internally within your organizations, recognize what resources, or I should say identify what resources and capabilities that you have that can be aligned to be and leverage those opportunities. So if something is out there that can help me to be successful, I have to seek within myself the resources, or acquire the resource, in order for me to take advantage of that opportunity. If that alignment is not there, then you do not have an effective strategy. Again, if that alignment between the internal, what I can do, and the external, what is possible, or what is out there for me to do, if there is no alignment there, then I cannot be successful. And once we've created that alignment, we then have to implement that and then evaluate whether or not we were successful at that. And there are many elements to evaluation, and we've looked at some of those, and we'll look at some more of those as we go on in the course. Remember, at the end of it, I said, remember, strategies are not operational plans or tactics. In your text, it clearly discusses and it distinguishes between strategies, operational plans, and tactics. You would be well advised to look that, or to review that when you have the opportunity, as you prepare for this exam, the difference between strategy, operational plans, and tactics. Okay. Chapter 3 was all about the external analysis. Major components of the organizational external environment: the industry or industries and competitors, markets and customers, and the general environmental forces. What are the strategic benefits of an external analysis? Well, it allows, as I said previously, the firm to align itself with what is occurring in the environment, to get what you require internally to take advantage of the opportunities externally. In healthcare, if we recognize that there is a type of disease, or there is a type of treatment that is being required or is being valued by customers, by consumers in the environment, we can then find out, or we can then identify the resources, or acquire the resources and capabilities that we need to take advantage of that in order to align ourselves to better serve the environment. It helps us to respond. Obviously, changes that occur, governmental changes, legal changes, competitive changes, market changes. If we are in touch with the environment, we can more quickly and more effectively respond to that. Identify again the potential gaps in the environment where customers are not being served, where value is not being created as effectively as it can, and for us to then utilize what we have or what we can acquire to go ahead and serve those areas and again be successful. To prepare, many times we can look out into the environment and recognize trends that are occurring or potential scenarios that will emerge, and if we are aware of these early enough, we can prepare ourselves. Obviously now with the healthcare reform, most of us, not only in the healthcare industry but people outside of it, recognize the potential fallouts and some of the issues that can occur. And if firms, if organizations within the healthcare system fail to prepare for those, then one can argue they did not have a fantastic external analysis system, or they were just ignorant in terms of preparing for the changes in the external analysis. And lastly, what else can come from external analysis is the ability of the organization to effect change. And we see this a lot again in the healthcare system with lobbying, recognizing or identifying that changes, that things are not necessarily akin to the organization or its industry, feeling that changes need to be made because of their external analysis and their ability to recognize these issues. The firm or the industries can go about attempting to effect change. But all of this comes about because there is an acute awareness by the organization or by its industry, by its network, of its external external environment. It would be somewhat ridiculous for any organization existing in an external environment, especially one that is volatile, to not attempt to be aware. It's kind of like living in a environment much like Louisiana, where the weather is so temperamental, and not wanting to know what it is going to be like today or be like tomorrow. If you do not do that, you might find yourself many times, like I did, caught unawares, wearing the wrong thing, being either too warm or too cold, and absolutely not being happy. So firms and organizations, networks, systems have to be aware of the external environment. This slide is very, very important, not necessarily because you have to know all of these points specifically and you have to be able to memorize it, but it kind of gives you a good procedural approach to doing an external environmental assessment. It says at the very beginning you have to identify the most influential environmental forces. This is very, very key, because if you are especially a small entity, there is no way for you to, one, be able to identify or recognize all the forces in the environment and to respond effectively to all the forces. There is absolutely no way. Even if you are a large organization, because of the reality of finite resources, you're going to have to determine which force is most influential to your organization, and that changes over the span of your life cycle, of your tenure as a firm. And so that's why you have, again, to continuously be aware and be involved in this kind of assessment. So what's most influential? What is most important? What is going to affect my organization in the most impactful way? And I have to, that's my first step. And then identifying critical industry and market issue. Okay, so beyond just the general forces, what critical industry, competitive forces, supplier forces, employee substitute force, and all those are going to affect me? And then the market issues. What's happening with my consumers? Where are my consumers? Is my segment shrinking? Is it expanding? Is the demographics changing? Anything that is going to affect my market, I have to be somewhat, or anything important that's affecting my market, I should say, I have to be I have to be concerned about. And so so after I look at both the general, these influential environmental forces, these large, general macro forces, and then I look at the micro industry and market forces that I think are critical. Again, the most critical. I then select forces that I want to closely monitor. So I know there's a myriad of